Hey guys, today on Watch with Poppy, we are talking the latest episode of The Vampire Diaries. Okay, so let's talk about this week's episode. There was lots going on, but I'm gonna have to say that one of the major things that I learned tonight about Poppy and The Vampire Diaries is that Elena Gilbert drives me insane. Like, season 4 Elena is just... they gotta do something about that, and I don't know if this is on purpose, like if they're trying to make me not like her, or they're trying to make her annoying because of the whole sire bond, or they're trying to really kind of get that like contrast of who she was and who she is now, and what's happening to her. But whatever it is, I feel like I hope we get to the end of that soon, because she really just like, I spent lots of time yelling at her. I mean, like, outside, out loud, yelling at the TV screen to yell at her because she just was so annoying tonight. I also felt like tonight, it was so obvious to me, like, the sire bond was. So, it just in the way she was acting, and she seems really mechanical, and look, Nina Dobrev is a really great actress. I mean, this is the woman who does Catherine, and the two of them are in the room together, and they're the same person, but she's so good at doing it, you forget that. So, part of me has to believe that all of this has a reason, and I'm hoping we find that out soon, because, yeah, annoying Elena is really getting on my nerves, and she was so annoying tonight, so annoying. I keep hearing the buzz about episode 12, which is next week's episode. I hear it is a game changer, that stuff's gonna happen that's just gonna, like, rock our worlds. So, here's hoping that some of that stuff has to do something with Elena and the whole sire bond or whatever's going on to make her act the way she's acting. Because, wow, I don't think that I could take much more of her. Though I will, because I love this freaking show, so it's not like I'm gonna stop watching. I'll just keep complaining. So, let's hope that gets to come to an end soon. Okay, so let me stop ranting about Elena and we can talk about the rest of the episode. Now, remember at the end of last week, Jeremy and Matt and Damon were all kind of in this restaurant with Klaus. Klaus had killed everyone in the restaurant, turned them all into vampires, so that Jeremy could kill them all and finish his mark. So as the episode opens, Jeremy kind of tells Klaus, like, look, I'm not going to play your game. I'm not going to do what you want me to do. And so Klaus basically compels these new vampires to kill Matt. So Jeremy and Matt go running off, of course, because now all of these vampires are coming after them. And so there's this big kind of chase scene at the beginning, and Damon finally comes to his senses and steps in and helps them. And they make it to the cabin, basically. That's their goal. If we get to the cabin, then they can't come inside, then we can make it, you know, till daylight, basically. They'll have to go away. Elena shows up and, you know, is a little freaked out and, like, tells Damon, like, I can't believe you did this. But at the same time, here's a hint about the sire bond. At the same time, she's very kind of, like, forgiving and lets it go really quickly. Now, we know what old Elena was like when it came to Jeremy. I mean, let's remember the Elena who, you know, thought it was okay to compel Jeremy so that he would move away, so he would be safe. Now she's just kind of throwing him into danger, and it's okay because Damon did it, you know, and it's just like, ugh. Whatever. So they hide out in the house until daylight. All the new vamps have to go away because they don't have daylight rings and they will burn up in the daylight. So they go hide and the boys leave, but they realize we've got to do something about this because these vampires are not going to stop. Tonight they're going to come after us again. So Damon tells Jeremy, you and me will go, we'll hunt these vampires down and we'll kill them today, basically, before the night comes. So they head back to the restaurant thinking that's where these vampires are going to be. And when they get there, they find them. But they're all dead. So they find all these dead vampire bodies and they're like, what is going on? And then who should walk into the restaurant but Cole? So if you remember in last week's episode, Cole was super freaked out about just the possibility of somebody waking Silas. And so he's decided it's his job to, like, either kill the hunter or stop him from completing his mark. So he's the one who killed all these vampires. And he's kind of like at the point where you get that he's gonna kill Jeremy. So Damon manages to distract him while Jeremy runs away. Long story short, Elena finally ends up going to Klaus to say, please help us, your brother's gonna kill my brother and that's gonna be a problem. So Klaus calls his brother Cole, tells him to let Jeremy go, and makes him promise to not touch Jeremy. But, you know, Cole is kind of like, no, I won't lay a hand on him, which, you know, is kind of some, like, underhanded, original way of, like, getting out of something that he's really going to do. So what he does is he compels Damon to kill Jeremy. So there's this big chase throughout the entire episode where Damon is trying to find Jeremy because he wants to kill him. And eventually he realizes what's going on, and Elena realizes what's going on, and she realizes she needs to do something to stop this. So what do you think this woman does? But she calls Stefan. Really? Really? I mean, like, I was yelling at my screen when she called him because she got attitude. And all I kept thinking was, you don't have any right to get any attitude with Stefan after last week. So Elena calls Stefan, and who should answer the phone but Rebecca, right? Because remember, Rebecca and Stefan have joined forces in the We Hate Our Brother Club. At first, I think Elena thinks that Rebecca has taken Stefan, but obviously she hasn't. So she conveys the fact that, look, Cole has compelled Damon to kill Jeremy. I need your help. Can you come help me? And Stefan doesn't respond. Like, he doesn't say anything. So at first you're kind of like, is he going to help or is he not? So she hangs the phone up, not knowing if he's going to help her or not. So Damon chases Jeremy. You know, they're running through the tunnels underneath the town at one point. They have a little confrontation there. Jeremy shoots him in the head, which knocks him out for a little bit. But Damon bites him. They end up in the woods. And Elena tries to, like, talk him out of it. She tries to do the whole, like, I love you, you love me, you would do anything for me, don't do this type of thing. So it totally made me think of the episode in season 3 when Klaus and Stefan and Elena are at the school and Klaus compels Stefan to kill Elena, and he's kind of like trying to fight this compulsion because he loves her, right? And at one point, Damon turns to her and is like, you know, you want me to fight this compulsion because I love you and because Stefan did that. But then what happens is he smells Jeremy's blood and his eyes turn dark and he's just like, I'm sorry, Elena. And he turns and he goes for Jeremy, basically. So in the end, though, as Damon is closing in on Jeremy, Stefan shows up to save the day because that's what he does, people, because Stefan is awesome. So Stefan saves the day, snaps Damon's neck, and that's it. He ends up taking Damon back to the house and he bleeds him out, like to weaken him, and he puts him in that little room in the basement where they used to keep the vervain, but there is no more vervain because remember the town council took it. But he puts him down there and he closes the door and it's just like, you can't see Elena, she can't see you because she's sire to you, so why wouldn't she let you out if you told her to? She would. Okay, and then there was this like conversation between Stefan and Elena. As he comes back upstairs from locking Damon in the basement, Elena's kind of just like, well, I want to see him, I need to talk to him. Looking like a groupie, basically, because she's sired. And Stefan's like, you can't see him. And he explains why. Because you're going to let him out. Because you're sired to him. And so she's just kind of like, fine. And then she tries to be like, what are you doing with Rebecca? And you're just hurt. And you're just acting out because you're hurt. And all this other stuff. And I was seriously yelling at the screen at this point, you guys. Because I just was yelling. Because I'm just tired of Elena, and it's just like, how dare you? You don't get to say anything. You don't get to question anything that Stefan does at this point, woman. But best line of this episode goes to Stefan Salvatore because he tells her, this is who I am. So she tries to tell him, like, you're not acting like yourself and all this stuff, and he says, no, I am. This is me. You just don't know what I look like when I'm not in love with you. And it's true. It's sad, but true. And I don't really know what that exactly means for Stefan's character, but I thought it was a very interesting point that he made to her. Now, Elena did redeem herself at the end of the episode. In the end, her and Jeremy are at home together. Klaus has already visited to try to convince Jeremy to come back to his house so he can protect him because he keeps telling him, look, Cole isn't gonna stop. And they're just like, look, we'll take our chances. We don't trust you. So the two of them are around the table. They're kind of talking about what they should do. And Jeremy's like telling Elena, like, look, I don't want to kill innocent people, but I want to finish my mark because I want to get the cure for you. I don't know what to do. And it's actually Elena that comes up with the idea that Jeremy needs to kill Cole. Because obviously Cole is an original vampire, so if Jeremy kills him, then he will also kill all of the vampires in his vampire line. So we're talking thousands and thousands of vampires will die if Cole dies. And that should be enough, hopefully, to finish off this mark. You know, that should give them the map that should lead them to the cure. So I think it was last season when we learned this whole bit of information. That if you kill an original vampire, you killed all of the vampires in their line. And there was a big controversy because, of course, they were trying to kill Klaus. But then the hesitation was, look, if we kill Klaus, how do we know that we're not a part of his vampire line and we will all die? And I remember at one point they were researching to try to figure out what line they were from, but in the end they didn't finish that. And I remember at one point Klaus came to them and said, look, you're a part of my vampire line, you can't kill me. I just don't know that we should trust Klaus, basically, is my thought. So I feel like if they end up killing Cole, that might have some further consequences than they've expected. A couple of other things about this episode. Obviously, Bonnie's witchy goodness was out of control. You know, she's kind of gotten all this power through this, like, expression technique that Shane has been teaching her, and now she kind of really needs him, almost to some degree, to stay grounded. But of course, he gets arrested, because remember, at the end of the last episode, April told the sheriff and the mayor that, you know, Shane was the one who killed her father and convinced him to kill all these other people. So they bring him in for questioning, and he really kind of admits to Bonnie what he's done, and tells her all about, you know, that they were the sacrifice, and how he's trying to wake Silas. And of course, she's just like, you're crazy. He tries to pull the whole, like, your grandmother's being tortured business, and if you help me, I'll bring your grandmother back. And then Bonnie gets mad, and the problem is she is kind of out of control. So there were flames and other things happening. And so you're kind of just wondering, okay, what's up with Bonnie? And is he telling the truth, or is he just trying to, you know, like, keep himself in the loop, basically? So let's talk about Team We Hate Our Brothers, because before the episode's over, the two of them are, like, really having fun together as they fall into bed as the episode ends. So that was a little like, okay, here we go again. A little more foreshadowing also. I mean, they are building up the hype about Silas, right? So we do get that eventually we're probably going to meet Silas. And let's remember the hype that they did for Klaus. I remember that whole, like, you know, hype for Klaus. And he's here and he's really bad. So Silas seems like even worse. So I'm sure we'll be meeting him eventually. But there was a little bit more we learned about him tonight from Cole, as he was telling kind of Damon why, you know, they couldn't find the cure because of Silas. They would release him. And he said something tonight about Silas, that if he was awakened, he would bring about the end of time. So that can't be good. It sounds like the Silas guy is not a good guy. But like I said, I'm not going to be surprised if we're going to be meeting him eventually. Overall, I thought this episode was good. I didn't think it was as good as last week's episode. And, I mean, the anticipation for next week is, like, off the roof. So it was kind of, like, right in the middle, basically. It was good. It moved the story along. And there was lots of kind of craziness. Things that I expect from the Vampire Diaries. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you again soon. Bye!